Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead.
You have to have stoic endurance. And you can't give up. And it's so easy to give up. So far, you've heard everybody say they gave up. No, the French bitch didn't say that, I don't believe. It's so easy to give up. Because you get tired of getting pounded. You get tired, and some of the people on the phone, abuse you. One of the questions that will be asked before the seminar is over is, when is too soon to call back? In other words, follow up. The guy says, call me back in 5 days. This sounds awful, I called him back in 5 hours. Oh, I misunderstood. I remember the 5. You keep calling back until they slam the phone down on you, until they block your number. That's how many fucking times you call them. And you never take no for an answer. Never. No is when they change their number or stop your call. They didn't used to be able to block your call in the old days. They changed their number. I didn't have a 94.6% closing ratio because I didn't know how to close. They left my office either in a fucking stretcher, crying, sobbing, but they bought. I'm called the Hammer. That hatchet up there and the hammer below it are my sales methodology, which is so antithesis of today's world, but it's still successful. Because I don't care if they like me. I'm there to make a motherfucking sale. Today. And I'm still very successful. I can sell better than any of my mentees, any of them. And I got some world-class sales guys. But at the end of the day, down deep inside, because they're only 35 or 40 years old, there's some fabric of their being that still wants to be liked. And that's a weakness. That's a fucking weakness. Because I don't suffer from the diseases of empathy or sympathy. That's a fucking weakness. You give me a guy or a gal that has a shade of wanting to be liked, just a shade of wanting to be a pleaser, and I own them. I own them. I eat them for fucking breakfast. In the old caveman days, by the way, Brian Rose calls me a Neanderthal. Neanderthal had a 20% bigger brain than Homo sapien. Had an extra rib. I have the extra rib. 13 ribs. My dad had it. I told you I used to be worried because I had heard a rumor that after 32 to 35,000 ejaculations, you're going to run out of sperm. Did I tell you this? No. Well, about 25, 30 years ago, there was a rumor going around. I went to the doctors, the dick doctors, to find out because I was getting close to the 30,000 mark. And he said, well, that's just a myth. It's an urban myth, Mr. Peña. You don't have anything to worry about. You got 100 or 200,000 more in you. Thank God. Praise Allah. He was a Muslim doctor. Praise Allah. Allah be with you. But when you saw a girl back in those days, caveman days, you took your club, you hit the other fucker, a guy in the head, and you drug her off. Right? Britain, gunboat diplomacy, right? It still works. It still works. But as Margot said, you got to toughen up. And she's got tough enough to make a lot of money, and she's not tough to me. But for a gal, I guess she is. But I know gals just as tough as I am and talk worse than I do. And we love one another. We're a kindred spirit because there's not many of us left, especially if you're a gal. But they do exist, believe me. There's a thing I'm going to give you to read tonight. E.J., the lady lawyer who never took a day off, okay, and the Irishman that was part of the four doofuses part of the Belfast guy. Would you hand those out? And we'll talk about it tomorrow. But you gotta want it, guys. I keep saying, when I came into, and I gave a talk a couple years ago to the University of Kentucky, a rugby team. They were back-to-back national champs. And I'm screaming and yelling at them, and they wanted a three-peat. They wanted a third. So who do they bring? Me. I'm jumping, screaming, jumping up and down, choking them. They won. They came from behind and won. One for the Gipper, me. When you want something done, you give it to me. Because when I tell you I'm going to get it fucking done, I get it done. Come hell or high water. And that's what they have to see in you and your board. You've got to show that leadership, or you're going to fucking fail. Or not succeed like you want to. It's not politically correct to scream at people like I do. It's not politically correct to put your hand on a woman's butt. I'm not recommending anybody put any hand on anybody. I got to do that disclaimer now. And I'm not recommending, why are all these sexual harassment things coming out now about a lot of very famous people? 40 years ago, 30 years ago, not Elton John, not Bruce Springsteen, just 65 years ago, Bob Dylan. Why now? Because it's their time. Everything has a cycle. It was wrong when it was done. I don't personally see, I never had to push myself on a woman to get laid in my fucking life. I've been raped by 3 women that beat me with a brick and took advantage of me. How would that sound on CNN? Why now? If they would have just asked nicely, I would have fucked all 3 of them. Now see you, God damn, raped even he was. The world's in a different place, and the more fucked up the world is, the more chaotic it is, the better it is for us. Taking money, not taking like stealing. Getting money from a bank is like taking money from a baby. Candy from a baby. When I play with our champion, Sir Winston, and I'm feeding him his little champion bulldog, this is how, instead of taking, I'm giving you just like I take from the banks, Winston. Just the same process. Because it's easy. Tomorrow and the next day and the next day, you're going to hear more stories from just regular guys and gals. And you're going to listen to the Viking bitch, which is not a regular person. 6'4", 235, kind of broad at the shoulders and skinny at the ass. Big gal. Her best friend is Viking bitch too. That they played high school basketball together. Who is following in the footsteps, rolling up healthcare in Texas. You're going to hear her say that her board of directors moved from Dallas-Fort Worth to Houston on their own nickel just so the board could be together. She didn't ask him to move. That's fucking leadership. So it's not just men that have leadership skills. There are a few women. And when a woman has leadership skills, it's even better because they don't expect a woman to have leadership skills. And the real reason, in my opinion, which I'll get a lot of shit from, the reason there aren't more Fortune 50, Fortune 500, FTSE 100 lady CEOs is because they lack leadership skills. Because most gals are not taught leadership skills. It's not part of your agenda, going up the corporate ladder or any ladder. That'll change over time. Not in my lifetime probably, but in some of your younger lifetimes, it'll change. Because the world is flipping back. And most of the dynasties that flip back to the liberal cause fail in the end. Remember, all great civilizations since caveman have started with one prime commonality. Slavery. Everyone since caveman, slavery. And we're so far from slavery now, and I'm not saying it was right then, but we're so far from slavery now, it's pathetic. Who's my 5:30? 6. 6:30. No, I only have 2 tonight. Okay. Tonight you're going to see a movie. You have those 2 things to read. What time is it? Okay. Tonight, who's the movie tonight?
Steve Jobs.
Okay. Who I had the privilege of knowing long ago, who thought you were all cretins, retards, that you should have never been born. He thought he was an alien. He thought all of you should have never been born. He thinks a handful of us should have been born. We would have created a new world. I happen to agree with him. Fortunately for us, nobody else teaches this. Fortunately. And I'm now convinced after 28 years there's nobody going to be teaching this. The first 5 or 10 years I told Sally I'm going to do it another 5 years and when the competition comes. Then another 5 years when the competition comes. Then after 15 years, Sally said, I don't think there's going to be any competition. Pardon? In the early 90s. There is none. And maybe we produced more billionaires back in those days because there was virtually no competition. It was like you walk in a bank without a gun and a mask and just take all the money you wanted. Virtually. I don't mean virtually like virtual now, but I mean that's how easy it was. And that's how easy it was for the mentees that went rogue and stole money. I mean, it was that easy. It was that easy. But I mean, guys, I said it back in March of 2020. This is our time. This is it. And Corona is getting the naysayers, the melon heads, the Pollyanna attitudes that the governments have had that have all shown to be wrong. It's like a bird's nest on the ground. I'm not sure what that means, but a bird's nest on the ground for us to take this shit and get filthy rich. And for those of you that want to save the world, God bless you, Allah be with you. You do whatever the fuck you want with numbers, your money. Just post the numbers for me. You spend it, I'll post it. And that's all I ask. And when you get out, and I normally say this is the last day, but all I want to know is about your successes. I'm not interested in your fucking problems. Because my answer is going to be, what's your fucking board say? And when I never hear from you again, it's because either you don't have a board or you didn't ask them because you didn't want to look like a stupid melonhead from Brooklyn. It's a very simple model. Motivated seller, hammer close. Fill up the funnel. And as they fall out the bottom of the funnel, hit them with a fucking hammer. Now, I will neither confirm nor deny that I help people sign documents on their deathbeds. A little assistance. I will neither confirm nor deny. But sometimes people need a little extra, as they say in Texas, a little extra help. And Danny Peña was always there to give them that little extra help and incentive, as they say in Texas, incentive, so they could get their hand across the signature block. Now, I'm not recommending that, even if it were true, which obviously can't be, but even if it were true, I'm not recommending that for you. But I am recommending for you to man up. Everybody in this room can man up. And the gals, if you man up just a little, it's more effective than the guys. And women have an advantage in this program, which I think is bloody unfair. I'm considering taking it to the World Court, actually, that the women have easier in this program because women get away with shit. They just do. A woman can sound stupid at a closing, and the fucker still closes. You sound stupid at the closing. Oh, we got to re-examine the paperwork. Everybody understand what I just said? They can fuck it up at the closing and still get closed. And then they bat their eyelashes, or better yet, when they can produce a tear. Is that fair? Of course not. But I haven't been able to change the program to knock that unfairness out. Okay, any questions before we break? Okay, YouTube, go fuck yourself.